I'm here with Wayne Bradshaw, who is a former Hastings District Councillor. Kia ora, Wayne, and thanks for joining me.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Wayne, thanks for your time and good to see you again. Now, at the moment, we're going through, the councils are in the news and they all got their 3-year or their long-term plans out. And the Regional Council, Hawke's Bay Regional Council, has just had a public consultation on their 3-year plan, which includes a 19.6% rates rise for this year. You have made a submission. Why did you do that?
When I ceased being a Hastings District Councillor, I made a pact to myself to stay out of local politics and not to make submissions on any of the district plans from the local councils. But when I saw the response to the land value changes to capital value and the lack of attention the regional council paid to the submissions, I felt that we were losing sight of the democratic process in Hawke's Bay, and that we needed to, particularly in reference with the Cyclone Gabriel, we needed to work together better and to communicate with each other a lot better. And I thought that the outcome of that process was damaging to democracy in Hawke's Bay. And so on looking at their annual plan, or just their 10-year plan, I noticed a few other issues that they hadn't paid attention to. And I thought that we're going to go off the rails as a region unless we actually work together better. And that's pretty much the reason why. It was just the sort of sharp end of the wedge, really.
So what were those issues that concern you in the plan?
Well, if we go back to the land value versus capital value changes, they call for submissions during and say, have your say, we will consider what you say, we go in with an open mind, etc., etc. But then 500 people submitted, 90% were against it, yet they did exactly what they wanted to do anyway. Effectively, I think one councillor relied on the other people. They didn't submit because they agreed with us. So I'm just mindful that the outcome is going to create an anomaly amongst the ratepayers, particularly in the difficult times, and they have just charged on regardless without any due process. So that was the main issue. And then when I got my rates, just to use our property as an example, our rates have gone up from 2013-14 of $164 to now $2,500.
Wow.
So I just think it's unfair that the consultation wasn't an in-depth consultation, but in actual fact, they didn't provide enough information. And I have noticed that there's a lot of other people that are very concerned that their rates have gone up a high amount. I just think that they haven't considered enough of the consequences of some of their rate increases. This is just the regional council. I think a lot of the other councils have actually put their rates up significantly by 20 and 23 and 25%. And I think that they appear to be operating in isolation and not taking into account the way that their stakeholders live and their ability to pay. So that was the main driver. The next drivers were the regional council, particularly. They have an investment company called the Hawke's Bay Regional Investment Company.
Yeah.
They're not getting big enough return on their investments. I think they should look at divesting a portion of their Hawke's Bay Port shares and utilising that capital fund, the capital amount, to help smooth some of the rating impact going forward. I don't believe that they consult enough on what the Regional Investment Fund does with the stakeholders. It's in the vicinity of $350 million. and the Hawke's Bay Port doesn't appear to be performing. So they owe their stakeholders a duty of a responsibility to discuss with them how our investment is being utilised and worked on. I also don't believe that all the councils don't put enough emphasis on working together to create a benefit for the region. When I was,
just on your first point of the council says that they believe it's better to keep these investments going rather than sort of, as you say, divest in the port shares. All the councils in the country are under a lot of pressure. Do you think there are other ways as well that they could? Are they running the rule over their finances enough? Is there frivolous spending that they could do away with?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of spending they could do away with.
Yeah.
You and I know that as family households, in tough times, you actually have to cut your cloth to suit your income.
Yeah.
It appears most families don't have a consistent income coming in or the ability to continually increase everything without actually making some savings and addressing some of the financial issues that we have suffered over the last 3 to 4 years.
Now, on the issue of collaboration, and that obviously we know the story. There was a referendum on whether or not we should amalgamate all the councils, and that was knocked back. But there have been some successful examples of collaboration. You were involved in one of those, and where else do you think the councils can collaborate?
Well, I think the first thing to have any successful collaboration is to have successful communications and relationships. And I actually believe that at the present point in time, let's use the example of Hawke's Bay Regional Council. They went out and did a annual plan, a 3-year plan, and they addressed the issue of tourism funding and Tomato Peak Park as 2 examples. Yet they didn't discuss it with those 2 parties before they finalised it. Now, that's good communication is a 2-way street, open and frank dialogue about what they would like to do and why they'd like to do it with the parties involved. And if they continue down the pathway of, I will do what I want to do and not tell you, that's going to be a very poor foundation to gain positive benefits for all concerned. So I think the first thing is the relationship. You've got to build the relationship, and the key component of any relationship is trust. And I don't think I think that's missing, to be perfectly honest. And there's 3 councils in this area we live in here, being Napier, Hastings, and Hawke's Bay Regional Council. And I think they deserve some lessons in how to talk to each other and how to treat everyone with respect and work together for the common stakeholders that they all have.
Now, you and Bill Dalton, the former councillor and mayor of Napier, were involved in working together on a collaboration that actually has paid off quite well. Tell us more about that, Wayne.
Well, back in 2007, I think both Bill and I got elected to the receptive to the councils, the Napier and Hastings Council, and we both got put on the Maranui landfill, joint landfill, which is up on Maranui, and it's owned jointly by Napier and Hastings, and it wasn't operating as good as it could do, and over a period of 6 to 9 years, we put in place. First off, we had to build the relationship with the users, which was the local waste collectors within the area and the receptive councils. And we developed a very good relationship, and we adopted some restructuring, refocusing of the unit. And in the end, it has proved very, very successful. And over a period of time, it has saved the ratepayers in both the Napier and the Hastings areas significant amounts of money, in the millions and millions of dollars.
Now, another area that seems to be where there might be some savings is marketing and communications. Figures that I've been given from the 3 different councils show that between Hastings, Napier, and the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, they have about 30 marketing and communications staff, which is an annual bill of, I estimate to be more than 3 million per year. What do you say about this? And do you think this is an easy area where they can bring about savings?
I'm sure that is. If you look at what is happening in central government, what they're looking to do is trying to recognise and reduce the backroom duplications that exist within the civil service. Here in the councils are no different. There is a whole lot of backroom duplication amongst the 3 councils, being Napier, Hastings and Regional Council, and included in that will be the communication, which I'm sure would have a bill of something like $3 million plus. Now, there must be some opportunity to fine-tune that and to pass those benefits back to the ratepayers. Because if we keep putting stacks on the mill and it's driven by council silos, we're going to be no further ahead other than have a multiple costs to our ratepayers. And that is not sustainable going forward. That is just one example. I would suggest there's significantly other examples, such as technology costs, professional costs, getting tenders together, because it's traditionally councils appear to overpay for lots of things because they don't pay attention to the 1% and 2%.
Do you think this issue, you mentioned that consultants and that, do you think that is an issue in our councils? Are they using that too much?
Oh, I would say it's very hard to break down the barrier of silence sometimes, or barrier of secrecy, but I would imagine that consultants the consultants know where the bread's buttered.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a whole lot of efficiencies that are hidden and they should be exposed, and I think it would be significant. I would think we should set a target of 5% savings for each council and for them to work together. And I would say that over a period of time, there'd be significant savings. The one thing that isn't considered here is, at the moment, in the annual plan or the 3 to 10 year plans, Hastings is going to have $700 million worth of debt. Napier will have $500 million worth of debt. The regional council will be up to $200 million worth of debt. Now, if we add all that up, that is $1.4 billion. And at 5%, that's $70 million a year in interest. Now, that is a significant amount of money that will be very difficult, A, to repay, and B, to pay for by the ratepayers who have their own issues with debt and have their own houses that they have to pay for. We cannot keep doing this as we've done it. The world is a different place. We have to reconsider how we look at things.
Do you think part of the problem, apart from maybe not enough attention being paid to how they spend money, but do you think part of the problem is that the local government system is broken?
Well, I think it's got to a point where if it's not broken already, it's certainly going to be put under a lot of stress going forward. And the likely outcome is that we'll never get back to being able to create an environment which Hawke's Bay deserves to have.
Do you have confidence that the leaders that we've elected will be able to get through this problem? We've got an election coming up next year. Do you think there will be changes?
It's not for me to decide. I have one vote like everyone else does. But if we look at, let's have an example. You know, there's a lot of older people in Hawke's Bay. There's a lot of people under a lot of economic pressure. The rates continue to keep going up and up and up, and the service delivery stays the same, if not diminishes. I think the whole system needs a really good look at it, and I don't think the local councils can actually address their own shortcomings with open minds.
Wayne Bradshaw, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it, and I'm sure we will be discussing this further in the future.
Thanks, Andrew. Cheers.